Good morning. Thank you for waking up. I can't even talk this morning. I'm not awake.
It's a good start.
Thank you for listening. Crisha and Mike here with the 101. We are the radio show for entrepreneurs.
And small business people.
And
Let's
small
not
business
exclude
people.
Yeah, anybody that's got their own show they're putting on, that's what we do.
Entrepreneurs. I feel like I say that word wrong.
You're going to say it wrong later on, so it's going to be fine. Don't worry about it.
All right. All right. So we got somebody else submitted us another question, and it's going to be a good one. But I want to ask you first this week. Ready?
I'm ready.
Okay. How do you know you've gone into business with the right partner? When is it time to call it quits as a partnership? And what exactly does a partnership mean?
So it's one question broken out into 37 pieces.
Right. You want to go with the first part first?
Well, I think it's kind of written backwards. I think the way I look at it is partnership. If you are an entrepreneur or a small business person, if you're going to partner with somebody, they have to have equal value to what you're doing. And also, it doesn't necessarily have to be 50-50 financial split, but you have to have things worked out before you get to that point. A lot of people pick someone based on they have a skill that I don't have and I've got the money. If that's the case, you're not on even footing anyway, because now you're beholden to the person who's writing all the checks is the person that feels like they've got ultimate control, and the person actually can make the product or produce something. They feel like, well, I'll just walk away and you can't get this done.
Right.
So I think establishing a partnership, first of all, I would say start out with your product by yourself. And then as things grow and you're adding people, whether it's an employee or a independent contractor, I would add them in as they've earned it. I wouldn't start a partnership with somebody without them having some kind of tie to the thing.
It's hard. It's like a marriage or any partnership.
Right.
And, you know, like most people, you're sitting at a restaurant, you're having drinks, and you and a buddy, and you're talking about ideas. Hey, I would love to open up this business. And the guy, oh, yeah, that'd be great. And before you know it, they're talking and there's somewhat of a partnership formed.
But see, that's not, to me, I agree there's the makings of a partnership.
Right.
But I can tell you, for example, I had started another company 2 years ago, and I made this same mistake. My partner, don't put anything in. I'll handle this. I will do the production of it, the creative. I'll do all the
control
ancillary work. Yes. That's part of the problem. There's always going to be somebody in a partnership who wants to be the alpha in the situation. It's just how it works. So as I'm doing this, I'm realizing I'm running two companies. And they're not really doing anything more than checking in and like, hey, let's go get beers and talk about ideas. All I'm doing is giving away ideas that I'm going to have to execute. So I'm not saying that I'm not telling someone they've done something wrong. I'm saying I've done this wrong before. Please, in the future, other people avoid this mistake.
Right. It's not that it can't work out. You'll hear me. I've said a lot over the past few shows. Communication. It's key. I mean, business is business. Personal friendship is personal.
But you've also, the difference between the two of us is you are a lot more emotional and dealing with your feelings about something, not in a negative way.
Your feelings. Well, I like the way you said that.
The way I look at it is everything at the end of the day, you have to look at your P&L and you have to make sure that you're making money off this. You get kind of blinded by how you feel about the other person. Someone always wants, in your case, you're kind of the mothering kind, so you want to take care of them as a person. You're more worried about that. Whereas I'm looking at it a different way and I'm saying, I want to move you along professionally. It's not always the most, emotional bond with somebody, but I want to move them from where they are and move them forward as time goes on, whereas you're more concerned about how they are on an everyday basis. Like, how do they feel?
I agree with that. And
I think both ways work, but I think both of us look at each other and go, I couldn't do it like you're doing it.
Right. And that's why we get along so well, I think. Right. You smack me and like, hey.
Right. I just want to bring you back to reality because at the end of the month, bills have to get paid.
Right.
And that's really why we're doing this is it's two different approaches to get to the same thing. But, when we got this question, I was more concerned about, because of the order it was worded, it was like, how do you know if you've picked the right person? And it kind of leads you to, I've already picked this person. Like, I've already done this.
Now what?
Now what?
I'm doubting it.
And so the issue was, so I went to Ken Wentworth of Wentworth Financial, Mr. Biz, and asked him what his opinion was on this question. And he's strictly P&L. He's all about receivables, how much money you're making at the end of the year. He loves to use the term widgets about everything. I think he calls his kids widgets. Haven't you heard that term?
No.
It's like an accounting term. Like, if you don't have to define what something is, like if I don't have to, like the bag, he wouldn't call your product individual bags. He'd say you have 48 widgets and you need to make X amount of dollars.
I've never heard him say that. I like it though.
But the reason I like having him around is that he breaks it all down basically like an accountant would. When I talked to him about the partnership agreements, he said unless they have a stake in the business that they put money forward, or even if there's sweat equity, there still can't be a 50-50 if you're not matching the financial aspect.
Correct.
So what he said was it's better off, like I was describing, start it on your own and bring people that can get you forward or do things you can't do. But someone has to earn a partnership. I don't think you can have a partnership before you start. If someone has experience, like, Ken had 25 years experience at Chase, high level person.
Right.
If he wanted to partner with me, he's earned it for 25 years at Chase. Whether he puts the money, like if we match funds or whatever, that's totally different, versus I think the issue is in this case, they've already made a partnership agreement and want to get out of it. We don't know all the specifics of it, but I just think if you're going to have a partner, it has to be somebody that complements what you're doing. You have to find someone that can do the things you can't. You can't have two people that do the same thing.
But you have to agree. I mean, you have to. The only thing I can suggest to Sarah, who submitted this question, is
we hope that she's listening and not regretting every decision she's made up to this point.
Right. Hopefully, I mean, you're both adults. You need to sit down and really, this should have been done before you go into a partnership with anyone. I get it. The emotions are high. Woo! Let's do a partnership. Let's make this. I know I would. So, and it's rush. Let's register our name with the state. Let's do all these things. I'm so excited. Once you write that down and it's on paper and it's filed, it's serious. I mean, it's a binding agreement now. Right. It's a binding agreement. So then you sit down and talk and figure out that you're really not on the same page. Someone's doing 80% and the other person's doing 20%. What do you do about that? I mean,
what do you do if they're doing nothing? What if you're the one that's, dealing with building codes or vendors and that? If the other person's not putting forth, like, there should be designated responsibilities for these people.
But you have to communicate it.
But you
can't just expect. Like, we talked about this the other day. You can't do and look over your shoulder and be so mad that other person isn't acting the way you want them to. Now, if you say, hey, we're doing this, I would like your help with X, Y, Z, blah, 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 and then they don't show up, they don't step up, they ignore you, they don't, then you have grounds that you can at least open discussion. Hey, I asked you for help. What's the deal? They just can't expect someone to act as they would.
Right. Well, hold on, because we got to go to break, and we're starting a whole nother thing. But we're going to come right back to this. You're listening to the 101.
As a mom, I'm always looking for quick and easy solutions to those everyday problems. Like, how do I get my kids to stop fighting? The ever-popular sound of, I'm bored. And then there's keeping them occupied in the car.
Introducing the Bag O' Life, pre-made solutions for life's moments. There's the get-along bag, the boredom bag, the travel bag, and more. These bags bring everyone together and inspire fun. To learn more or to order, go to life.com. A bag for life's moments, a memory maker.
This is Bill Gerhardt from Greenscapes Landscape Company. We are proudly celebrating our 41st year as Citro Ohio's premier landscape experts. We have phenomenal craftsmen and designers with decades of diverse knowledge and creativity to suit any of your landscape needs. And since 1977, our passion, vision, and dedication of our employees have made outdoor dreams a reality for our clients. For residential or commercial projects, we do it all. See for yourself at our showroom at greenscapes.net or email us directly with your ideas. Let Greenscapes make your outdoor dream a reality.
I'm Dr. Buzz, DC, with Buckeye Physical Medicine and Rehab, Columbus's largest hormone replacement center. For the cost of a cup of coffee a day, you can completely reverse the effects of aging and the aches and pains of low T. Thousands of patients that suffer from low T have come to us to rejuvenate their youth. Buckeye Physical Medicine patients have enhanced their energy levels, rid themselves of inflammation, and feel years younger. Call Buckeye Physical Medicine and Rehab at 614-721-5698. That's 614-721-LOW-T. Or visit BuckeyePMR.com today.
Welcome back. You're listening to the 101. We were discussing partnerships.
And how to get rid of, if need be.
Or how to form a successful partnership.
Well, the part that I kind of cut you off at is that I had talked to Scott Smith, who's an attorney here in town, and this is not what he does for a living, though he does know some contract law. And when I brought up this question, and again, this is important because we have somebody that does basically any feature we would need. We have access to those people because we build a network of, we've got a lawyer, we've got an accountant, we've got, people that help us deal with the vendors. Sure, we might have to pay them, but we're not putting them on retainer. It's when we need them, then we know where to go. And if it's not them, we can send them somewhere else.
Right.
It sounds like the issue here is that before anybody got an attorney or got a real estate advisor or any of that, they just went ahead and did the deal the way it seems, the partnership agreement. So the concern I have in a partnership agreement is whether somebody puts money in or not, if you're 50-50 partners, the money that's in the bank account today, half of that is theirs, whether they put it in or not. The investment in the real estate, it's just like a marriage. If you're going to get divorced, it doesn't matter if the husband or wife bought the house, it's a 50-50 split, right? And you're going to argue over who gets this table or who gets this lamp.
Right. I paid for this couch and this TV, or once it is inside your marital property,
right,
it's 50-50 no matter who bought it. So let's say in a partnership, one person fronts the bill for everything. Everything inside their space was purchased by one sole person. And once they get up and running, if they decide to dissolve the partnership at that point, then what happens to the stuff within those walls?
Well, the question I asked Scott more specifically is, I said, let's say you owned a pizza place and someone keeps putting money in, and the other partner doesn't. And on day one, you make $10,000 to have this big grand opening, and the other partner says, you know what, I just want to get my half and get out of here. The concern I would have is that person doesn't just want that $5,000. It's this thing could make $10,000 a day, and I'm going to prove that it can because here's a receipt.
Right.
You're getting into a whole different thing. Before the doors open, I would make sure you've got designated roles, and somebody has to have 51%. You can't have 50-50 partners, especially if you're coming from two different, what I'm going to say, like business areas. If you're going to own it, you're going to own it. But somebody's got to make the key decisions, because you can't have two people have equal say, because there has to, it's like a jury system. You're going to get a hung jury if you're 50-50. You have to have.
Then there's no movement.
Right. So whoever's putting the most money in should have the larger portion.
Mm-hmm.
So
I agree.
But as far as partnerships go, I think you have two options. Either somebody's going to stake you and they're going to be a partner because they're financially involved, but they're more of like a silent investor. Or you could go the route where, you can let somebody earn a partnership over time, like buy shares in the company, and then they can be a partner. I've seen that happen before where, someone was offered to buy in and over 7 years put zero money in.
But they have sweat equity. They are
correct. But if the deal in this situation, it was pay $10,000 a year, and then when this person was going to retire, you can take it out. So you're a partner, and then when they leave, you've put your money in. Instead, they waited and just wanted to do a lump sum payment. So they owned 0% of the business, then had to come up with $310,000. When over 7 years, they could have started paying that down to the point where it's not such a huge nut. At the end of the day, he couldn't afford to buy the business because he didn't put money towards it. But he had some really nice cars and really nice grills. So
that's the important part. You have a cold.
Yes. But it's only going to last. We're in Ohio. I'm going to have this cold for about 8
3 months.
Yeah.
Oh,
in
8
August,
months.
I'm going to feel fantastic. But, that's the kind of thing is I always look at it from what are you making? And the difference is, and somebody really smart told me this, it's not what you generate, it's what you keep. So if you're billing $100,000 and you're collecting it and you're only keeping $5,000, well, something's gone wrong. So you have to change that. My concern would be as people start businesses, they think someone else is going to help them get there. And a lot of it is fear. You're afraid to handle this stuff on your own. You think if you have a partner, they're going to carry you across the goal line. A lot of times those people are going to slow you down. Nobody has the same vision as you do. So you have to partner with somebody that's willing to pick up the slack, or if you're you
need to be on the same page.
Right. But if you're the person that's more like laid back about things and you want to do something in a business but you're willing to give it everything you got, it's okay because you're getting 49%. Nobody wants to be the person with lesser value. That's the way it's looked at. So we got to be even and we're nothing. But in this case, they're already trying to get rid of their partner. And now you've incurred legal fees and all that. Nobody just walks away when they have a binding contract because the other part to this is the partner is also responsible for the damages or the losses. So the way I would approach it is, well, I put $14,000 or $20,000 or whatever it is into this thing and we're not even ready to go. We're going to lose in our first year $30,000. You're on the hook for that.
Right.
Let them walk away on that.
And they might.
Right. What I'd hate to see is somebody partner with someone for a year because they don't want to speak up about this and take care of it. And then when it comes to the losses, you're still on the hook because I never put any money in. Right. It still doesn't matter legally, but.
Well, we're here for a reason. Entrepreneurs, small business owners, we all start at the bottom. We don't know what to do. We don't know the right way to do it. Everybody has different opinions. There are groups out there that will meet with you free of charge and kind of like a mediator. They will sit down with everybody who wants to be involved. Check with your local Chamber of Commerce. A lot of them will offer these services. And, they will mediate. They will tell you this is what it looks like. This is what you should expect and kind of help walk you through at least to wrap your head around what you're getting yourself into.
But I think you should also go to small businesses that like you don't have to know the person. I would call somebody. Rick Mailer at City Barbecue is a perfect example. I'm trying to think of, I'm an old man now. So let's say 17, 18 years ago when I first met him, he didn't even have a restaurant open. He didn't know how to cook. Okay. He just had this concept that he got from these doctors who used to go and win these like barbecue contests and stuff. Like that was their hobby. He leaves John Deere to start this restaurant concept.
So he saw this great concept idea and he had no idea how to barbecue.
Well, right. So
all right, I'm with you.
He got a guy from Burger King who was like their regional guy, but this guy had done it all from the time he was like 16 years old.
Right.
He knew how to cook, not barbecue, but his strategy was there are no conventional barbecue joints like you'd have in the South in Columbus.
Right.
And everybody said, you can't beat Damon's, you can't beat Hoggy's. You know what he did?
Look who's still in business.
Well, they offered to buy him early on and he said no. And then he could have bought them. And instead he just let them go out.
Let them go.
But his concept was, Frank was his partner, but they weren't an equal share because it was Rick putting up the money. But he realized there was a hole. And that's the thing about when you're starting a business. If you can find that hole, you don't have to tell everybody about it. But he picked the brain of every restaurant person. It wasn't how do you cook this? How do you make this?
Right.
He had somebody to do that. Now, he wasn't a 50-50 partner because it was his concept. But look where it's at now. He has a restaurant from Columbus in the Carolinas doing barbecue.
He didn't even have to go into a partnership. He could have been a sole proprietorship and hired on somebody for their services.
Right. But again, my point being that there's somebody that if you looked at it, you'd say that guy needs a partner. Like, what is he doing? He has no restaurant experience. He can't cook a thing. And his concept was, I'm going to buy these barns from Kansas, bring them back here and build my restaurant out of that. If you went to someone that would invest in a business and they would say, I don't know what the hell you're trying to do. But it worked because he didn't let anyone change him from that vision.
Right.
If he had a partner to say, well, I'm not putting in money or I'm not doing that.
I don't see it this way.
Right.
Or,
that's why partnerships are good once things have built up. It's not good from the beginning unless you have a silent investor or somebody like that. We're up against a break right now. You're listening to the 101. We'll be right back.
As a mom, I'm always looking for quick and easy solutions to those everyday problems. You know, like how do I get my kids to stop fighting? The ever popular sound of I'm bored. And then there's keeping them occupied in the car.
Introducing the Bag O Life, pre-made solutions for life's moments. There's the Get Along bag, the Boredom bag, the Travel bag, and more. These bags bring everyone together and inspire fun. To learn more or to order, go to life.com. A bag for life's moments, a memory maker.
Hi, this is Marty Reed, and I'm the owner of Frog Hauling. We are Columbus's only green residential mini dumpster service. If you want to clean your garage, you want to clean your basement, or maybe clean your yard, give Frog Hauling a call, 258-3764. At Frog Haul, we also service contractors, and if only the best product will do for your customer, give Frog Hauling a call. Visit us at froghauling.com or call us at 614-258-3764.
Every day, careless drivers drive away from car crashes they cause while you're left behind, injured, without a car, and unable to work. It gets worse. Careless Drivers Insurance Company may refuse to pay you. Your insurance company may refuse to help you. You'll have to do one thing. Get Scott Smith and get justice. We have the experience and the resources to get you the results you need and deserve. Call 888-311-LAWS. That's 888-311-LAWS or visit us at sestriallaw.com. Get Scott Smith. Get justice.
welcome back. You're listening to the 101. All right. When I read this question, it was kind of a three-parter. So the second section was when is it time to call it quits as a partnership? You know, you're in this partnership. I assume it's rocky roads. Nothing's going smooth. How do you know when to put an end to it? And how do you put an end to it?
Well, let's address how to put an end to it, because you had a different...
You lock the doors and change the locks. I'm just kidding.
No, you had a different take on this the other day when we first talked about this question. And I think that people should hear both sides. What was your... Because you didn't say to end it. You said you should sit down with the person and have this talky-feely moment.
Well, you know what?
I mean, hug it out, bro.
Let's hug it out. But like any relationship, whether it's your best friend, whether it's your husband or wife, whether it's someone that you are in a business relationship with, you have to, it's almost like marriage counseling. I mean, people grow, they change, their views on things change, their vision might change. And, you know, you made a commitment somewhat to each other. You owe it to each other, in my opinion, to sit down and talk it out. You know, you may really, A, may start to see what B is seeing, or B may start to see, oh gosh, you're right. I've kind of been sitting here long while you've been doing this, and this, and I haven't been pulling my weight. Maybe it's going to be a wake up to them.
But for the sake of this question, let's assume you've already done that.
Okay.
Let's assume you've
had it out.
Not had it out. Not that you've argued, but you can tell. First of all, you can feel when something is not right, when you should part ways with somebody. And so I want you to, like you said, you want to have this conversation. What happens if that conversation ends poorly, where the person's not receptive, or no, I'm not doing that, or I'm not listening to that?
You might.
But part of the communication aspect, again, is if you fail to do it in the beginning, to set expectations, like this is your role. This is what you're going to do. This is what I'm going to do.
Exactly.
Once you fill out paperwork, it is too late. You can't get married to somebody and say, you know what? I really want to go to the gym 5 nights a week, and then I'm playing ball after work and all that stuff. So you're cool with that, right?
And you do all the work and
right. You're doing all the cooking and cleaning, and I expect this.
I was in that situation. I mentioned this last week. I was in the mortgage business, and I didn't have the same viewpoint as the company that I'd worked for. So I thought, I can do this better for numerous reasons. So in a knee-jerk reaction, I went into business I had 2 partners, and it was not equal by any way, shape, or form. I brought the finance
or
any of it.
Okay.
I brought the funds. I, brought the location. When it was all said and done, I did the majority of the work, and it just got to be ridiculous. I mean, I got off the hook easy. We didn't have to battle it out, honestly, because they were extremely lazy and they had no more drive, and they were done. They were just like, I don't care. I'm going to go play my video games or do what I need to do. And they were just
play
done.
a video game. Did you have a contract with them? Did you 3 have a partnership agreement?
We did not. I mean, we did not start it out the right way. The only thing we had that
might have been your saving grace, though, is that you didn't have an agreement, so you could have walked away. So you have a partnership agreement verbally, but
it was never on paper.
Right. You don't have to dissolve the corporation or the I guess you could have an LLC, but you don't have to go through all that to get away from it. So that sounds like
if you have, if you register it that way. There's so many. Partnership is different than if you're an LLC or a sole proprietorship or a corporation holding shares, so on and so forth. So I guess it depends on how you register it with the state when you're registering it. I mean, and all 3 of our names were on that.
How did you be? The other thing that I found out, I already knew this, but I wanted someone to back me up. If you have a company, you should have an LLC. You definitely should have that, because the difference is in the LLC, a bank isn't going to loan money to an LLC. They'll loan it to an individual who owns the LLC.
Correct.
But I think people need to remember that, because when they're doing a partnership, it's whatever that business name is what goes out of business. I forgot to say this earlier, and that's why I'm thinking LLC. Can you remind me? What someone told me was start another LLC and just put the other one to the side and open that business. Like, that one exists if you want to do it later.
Right.
But this is what this is going to be called now. There's not as much legal wrangling, and you just decide to kind of put that on the shelf for a minute until you can get that worked out. So I'm sorry that I waited 24 minutes to say that, but you just reminded me of it.
We could probably dive into this a lot more in depth, and, that would be a whole nother show. But there's the only thing I can say is search out legal help or Google. I mean, my gosh, people use the internet. Look at all of your resources out there. You can, talk to other business owners who have gone through it. Educate yourself before you take the plunge. And yes, I think a written agreement is a good thing. So, what?
Nothing. You know what? We're out of time for this week, but come back next Sunday and we'll pick another topic or email to just go on for half an hour. Been listening to the 101.
You've been listening to a Morris Media production.